Hello, everybody. My name is Khanya Mkoto. I am the director of the Young Catalyst. Here we basically profile and celebrate young people who are doing amazing things. Funny story, the guest that I'm talking to today didn't feel young enough when I called him. I was like, I want to profile you for the Young Catalyst. And he's like, do you know how old I am? Fortunately enough, he just made it. We profile people who are below the age of 35 who are doing great things. Today I'm speaking to Xhanti Payi, who is the Nascence Advisory Plus Research Economist and Director. He is a contributor for the Daily Maverick, including other major brands as well. And he is the economist of the nation. I have literally just coined that. Welcome, Xhanti Payi, to the Young Catalyst.
It's my pleasure, thank you.
Yes, thank you for making time, and I know how busy you are. I want you to just tell us about who you are, where you grew up, and how it all started.
As I said, I'm not so young, so it's a lot. So I grew up in a township called Isabellian in Queenstown. That's in the Eastern Cape, so that's where I spent most of my time. And then we moved to the Western Cape in Cape Town,
Yes.
where right after democracy, my mother thought, there are great opportunities to go into the city. And so that's where I did high school and then university. It was at UCT. And I did, accounting and investment and finance.
Okay.
And then afterwards I started working, small jobs. So at some point I had come to Joburg to work for Standard Bank. They had a program there by the Color Foundation. And then I was hoping to work here, and then I realized that I don't know much about Joburg. It was too difficult. Just to get your taxi I thought, this is not my place. I went back to Cape Town, and then I worked for Apps, and then I got an opportunity to work for Investec. I'd always wanted to work for Investec. Since my cousin actually used to work in Cape Town and would drive past Investec. So I was going to work there one day.
I've heard good things about that company.
Yeah, it is great. And that's where my real first, and I suppose more involved job was. So I spent 5 years in Investec. I left there after working as an analyst in the wealth management business.
Okay.
Then I came to Joburg, and I became an economist here. So, but basically it's been, from a township or a rural township to Cape Town, big city, and trying to, my mother is single parents. I've got a brother and a sister, and really supportive people. And then of course on the other side. So, I think that's about it.
How did you manage to literally get yourself, because the Eastern Cape is known as the province which struggles the most in terms of education, in terms of the results. We see it year after year.
Pure luck that I had. It was like my mother insisted to go, and nobody wanted to go. I certainly didn't want to go because I think, all our family was there, both our your grandparents, which really provided a lot of security. Our aunts and everybody that we knew and all the friends that we had were there, and to have literally to be uprooted and to go wasn't what anybody wants. And to come to Cape Town was sort of, you don't know anybody, quite a sense of insecurity going. But I think that was my lucky break. So so if you're in grade 8, what age is it?
I'm not too sure, but
we'll
keep it at grade 8.
I don't mean like minus and subtract, but and that was my lucky break because, go to a big city, you get, and in Cape Town in particular, the Western Cape has a really great education system. I went to a public school, much like I would have been in the Western Cape, except the public schools in the Western Cape are much better. These are big schools. For example, they've got intercoms, they've got teachers that are much better. Literacy levels are much better. So I think that was the clean break. And I went to what you call a colour school. They had projectors, things that I'd never seen before. And intercoms and big library and things like that. So I think the lucky break really was that it wasn't so much, breaking away from the Eastern Cape in the sense that we had no choice but to move, but that the Western Cape had a particularly better education. So at high school, I suppose, at the beginning of high school, rather than arriving maybe there in matric, it was right at the beginning of high school. So there was enough time to catch up. It was really difficult also to catch up because as you said, the education is really lacking. And so even, getting literacy right, English was a struggle. Obviously I had to learn Afrikaans, which I'd never really known. So it was a big of an adjustment, but I think you get lucky because in the sense you are now in a better space and in a better environment. And so on that basis, I think it worked.
Definitely. With myself as well, I found that, moving to a different city, originally from Port Elizabeth, going to Cape Town, then coming here to Joburg, it literally just opens your mind. Even as an adult,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, you get here and you're like, I actually want to further my studies. I want to even go international.
Yeah.
So yeah, the relocation of
Very big thing.
It's a big thing.
I always insist actually that you do want to give people a little bit of exposure, because just to peer outside of their own environment,
Yeah.
to see a little bit more, and I think for me that was the thing, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, that was really the thing, and because we were there in high school, you know, you had trips, for example, to different places. We had trips to, you know, technicons. You know,
Yeah.
Cape Town, of course, there's a couple of technicons at the time. They're called something different now. They're called
Yeah.
Technical University or something. Yeah? And there were a few universities. There are research centers. There are, you know, there's a lot of things happening. So
There
you can
is.
actually say, so it's not on paper. So we'd go to those places. Our teachers would take us out. We'd see what was going on. So that opportunity to be able to see different things. And also it's a bit confusing because I wanted to be all the things. Every time I wanted to be a physicist at some point, because we were taken to a science lab with physicists and science and stuff like that. So that kind of opportunity and exposure really made a big difference.
Yeah. In terms of the structural setting of Cape Town, like how did you find that? Because people always talk about that because, you know, we hear a lot of stuff when it comes to
Structural
to-
setting.
No. how did you navigate through
So
that?
there's a big difference. So if you move to a different place, so in Queensland, where I grew up, I was Xhanti, right? I didn't have to spell my name at the post office or at the bank.
Yeah.
I wasn't different, you know. So the first thing, obviously, for me moving to a big city like that, especially the, you know, the kind of school I went to and all that, I was now an outlier, you know. So having to spell your name and say it again. Oh, say it again. How do you spell that? You know. So that was a shift in terms
Yeah.
of just your self-perception in a way, because then you realize actually you are not like other people in that sense, and also at some point you get the sense of racism, you know, because in a sense there's a difference between people. In Queensland, you know, in the Transkei in particular, I think a lot of people didn't have such a strong sense of racism because it was already an independent country, as it were. And so we were quite closed out of it. You'd have to sort of go out to maybe Queenstown or some of the South African cities to be able to see it. So I didn't see it. And then in Cape Town, of course, it stares you in the face. So I think that was a bit of a shock. But it took a long time until we started working and then, you know, communicating with people and to get a sense of there's something going on, there's something different. Cape Town is difficult in a sense, but depends where you are. In the sense that there's also different parts of it, and a lot of people navigate it depending on how and where you are and how you want to expose yourself. And those
But when I say structural, I mean as well, it's very expensive to live there. I mean, I've stayed there.
But yeah,
and I remember just having to pay for parking, like huge
yes,
amounts.
sure.
You
Now
know?
that's a different thing for me because obviously for a long time I moved from, you know, for a long time I was paying for everything, and then I went to varsity. Varsity, you get to stay in res and you get to eat.
You have a
there, whatever.
bursary
So-
when you're in varsity.
So the first year I didn't, and then long story, but part of it, my mother was a domestic worker, so this is how it worked, and I think that's probably the interesting part, and part of the advantages that maybe some people would not see it as advantages, in the sense that if there were a lot of friends of mine who couldn't go because they were, this missing middle thing, because their parents may have been nurses or teachers, so they
yes.
enough to get a bursary, but quite not enough to pay for easy education. I mean, I remember first it was like 17 grand, so there's a lot of money. My mom,
Hectic.
especially that was like in the 2000s. so you
Yeah.
can imagine. So my mom said to us, look, my child has been accepted here, whatever. And he's like, well, I'd be willing to, and I didn't have a bursary the first year. Also, I didn't pass with flying high enough colors to be able to get a bursary, but so that was going to be difficult. And then this guy, literally, white guy, wrote a check. And he gave it to me, and I remember actually holding that 17,000 check as I drove to, I was in the taxi.
Was this before registration?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you get accepted and all of that, and then
That's amazing.
and I was holding it like this in the taxi. It's written to the university, of course, so I can't steal it. And thinking, so much money, and so that was really the kick. I think a lot of the cost stuff you don't see, but also, I came from a close-knit family in the sense that an extended family. So my aunts and my husband and people would send me money, like $50 here, $100 here. And also I got very resourceful. So there's a lot of expensive stuff you don't see when you work.
Yes.
It's a bit different when you start working. But then when you start working, expense tends to be kind of relative because you sort of figure it out anyway. So I sort of figured out something. So I stayed at home at the beginning, starting to work, and then obviously as you go up, you think. It may be a little bit more expensive, but it depends where you start, certainly. I had lived in Cape Town for a long time, so I kind of was used to, if I'm going to live here, I can work in town. If I work in town, maybe I will live in Parklands, maybe I live in Belleville, maybe I live here. These are the different options. So then you choose the place you live in, given how you afford things. So
I like that. Like not living beyond your means and also working.
Oh, no, I live beyond my means.
Oh, do you? Now?
I did then, not so much these days. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur now. I have no means. But if you are, at the time when you start
Sounds
working,
hectic.
you sort of, when you start working, you want to achieve, it's aspirational, So, you aspire to all the great things. And so at the beginning, you don't really get it, that you've got to be much more managing. And you don't really know money that well. I think I didn't know money that well. And so it's different now. Now people talk about living beyond your means. It wasn't always the discussion at all. I mean, for the group of us who started out there, we didn't, it's new people talk about you live beyond your means, financial management, those things. Credit cards were the thing. You got a credit card, you got this. And there was a time before, actually, banks were told and everybody, the person must afford the debt.
Yeah.
These are new inventions. So yeah, most of us live beyond our means for a very long time.
Unfortunately.
It's only now that
It's only now, you have no other choice.
Now you've got a sense of actually.
We'll actually speak about that entrepreneurship.